What if the shit hits the fan? You ever feel that life is about to break you? That bad stuff is happening to you? Imagine your business is hit hard by unforeseen circumstances. You're confronted with health issues, or worse, a loved one is suffering from it. What if you lose them? You feel like you're falling. Or maybe bad stuff happens because of your own fault. You've been a bit creative with your taxes. Or you neglected your marriage for years and it feels like it's beyond repair. You're failing. And suddenly you wonder. When life is broken, how do you prevent life from breaking you? This is Surpassing Success, a video series for you to discover a fulfilling life and business. We exist to help you as a business professional, leader, or entrepreneur to make your life and business more purposeful, joyful, and rewarding. This episode is about falling and failing well. But first, let me address the elephant in the room here, because I see it all around me. That Instagram reality that tells us that we're all destined to be successful, rich, and happy. That everything in life can be tailored to meet your every wish. Well, I hate to break it to you, but truth is, there's no such thing. Don't worry, I promise I have something better instead. A mindset that gives you a fighting chance, that can help you through it all. One that may help you use those circumstances to make you stronger than you were before, more resilient, wise, and mature. Something that will outlive the harsh reality and wavering unpredictability of this messy journey called life.
Mr. Nelson Mandela will be released at the Victor Verster prison on Sunday, the 11th of February at about 3 p.m.
And that'll be the moment the world has been waiting for. There's Mr. Mandela, Mr. Nelson Mandela, a free man taking his first steps into a new South Africa.
After decades of imprisonment, cruel treatment, and solitary confinement, Mandela was finally released from jail after 27 years of fighting the apartheid regime. First black president of South Africa, one of the most beloved leaders of the world, a man loaded with purpose. So what do you, I guess a relatively successful professional or business leader, and one of the most iconic leaders of the last century have in common? Well, I guess you both like a fair bit of success. But also, Mandela was an absolute master in overcoming tribulation. And when you study the art of falling and failing, well, I guess you'd want to learn from the best. But first, a question. What if life treats you unfair? What if other people treat you unfair? Think. What is your first response? Well, from research, we know that under stress, human beings roughly have 3 go-to options: fight, flight, and freeze. Let's break it down. So maybe you fight, you take revenge, a rather popular option. Hollywood is full of it, right? John Wick's dog is killed and he starts killing dozens of people. Taken, Kill Bill, Die Hard. You get my point, right? Fighting and revenge is an option. In business life, it often takes on a different form. You decide to work even harder, to strike back, to sideline the other party, even sue them. Make sure you get your part. Revenge has a tendency of shaping and defining your identity for the worse. It will sell your soul to the devil. Consume everything that is good or beautiful about you. It will rob you from the beauty of life, from hope, and from the future. In the life of Nelson Mandela, such a shaping moment was the Sharpeville massacre of 1960. Police opened fire on a group of peaceful protesters, killing 69 innocent civilians. It deeply bitters Mandela, and his ANC movement turns from peaceful protest to violent resistance. Not much later, he's arrested and sentenced to life in prison. A dark cloud over his future. His family will hardly ever see him again. His life is officially a mess. And then there's the two other options, freeze and flight. You freeze, you become paralyzed in the moment, like that poor Private Upham, completely failing to help his buddy in this Saving Private Ryan scene. The situation overwhelms you, overruns you. You flee. You run like Forrest. But unlike him, it's not a move that frees you from the leg braces that have been limiting your range of motion for years. And it's not the start of your running career either. You deny the reality of the situation. You take the easy way out. Or you numb yourself. And before you know it, things spin out of control even further. You lose yourself. In real life, a flight response is very likely to cause more damage than remaining in the moment. So fight, freeze, or flight. You pick your poison. But whatever your personal go-to stress response is, it will mean that circumstances will dictate your life, and that whatever life throws at you will set the rules for how you live your life. Not a pretty picture, is it? In Mandela's case, he decided to take a different path. While in prison, he adapts his strategy, his mindset, to one defined by non-violent resistance. And once president, Mandela would go a step further and develop a politics of truth and reconciliation, a massive change of heart, forgiveness to cure hate. Completely counterintuitive. Nope, I don't think John Wick would approve. But it would turn out to have a healing effect on the people of South Africa. Something far beyond John's imagination. So, what's in it for you? When you have to respond to one of those moments in your life, when your first thought is fight, revenge, breathe. Ask yourself, is there a different way? Is there a high road to take? There's a side to Nelson Mandela's life that you might not be familiar with. As the deeply religious man that he was, he would say, "I am not a saint, unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying." Throughout his life, Mandela would make decisions, make mistakes that he would later regret. His first marriage that failed as a result of an affair he engaged in, the violence he used in the 1960s. His children dealt with poverty, depression, and addiction as a consequence of his time in prison. The inadequate way his government handled the AIDS epidemic in South Africa, a disease that would eventually take the life of his own son. But Mandela would accept his flaws, and at the same time he would refuse to give up on himself. He would find a way to walk the balance. Each time he would seek reconciliation where he could, and he would rectify where possible. There's a lesson to learn here. The suffering you cause will continue to proliferate if you don't put it right. So, rectify what is wrong. Go beyond the apology. Reset the balance where you can. If you have to settle a debt, settle. If you have to pull back from an action you have already engaged in, pull back. Yes, it will cost you, and it will hurt, but it will gain you so much more in the long run. So in case of personal failure, accept that you need to grow to avoid future mistakes. Sounds too easy? Well, there's a few strategies that can help you adjust in situations where your stress responses kick in. So let's zoom out a bit. It will give you a sense of direction. Two key terms to start with: accountable and eager to learn. If you want to develop a resilient mindset that will greatly benefit your life and your business, those are your go-to places. Being accountable means that you surround yourself with people that challenge your ideas and convictions, people that are equal to you, that you appreciate for their wisdom or their ability to show matters from a different perspective. In Mandela's life, that was Bishop Desmond Tutu. In prison, it was Tutu who planted the seed for a non-violent approach against apartheid. And when he got out of jail at the age of 72, Mandela would make sure that the euphoria of his newfound success as the elected president would not rise to his head. No, he would stay accountable, having people like Bishop Tutu and many of the people he was in prison with speak into his life. And then, eager to learn, be mindful of the fact that as a human being, you are never a finished product. There's something to learn from every situation, no matter how dark. And only you can tell yourself that. So be eager to gather wisdom, eager to challenge your current ideas and convictions. In Mandela's case, that meant he began to study the life and teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, and it shaped Mandela even further to become the man that would one day be needed to lead a country so broken your eyes would hurt from looking at it. By now you must be wondering, what am I looking at? Well, this is the work of Jurjen van Houwelingen, and I'm a fan of his work. And his story brings us back to our main question. If life is broken, how do you prevent life from breaking you? Let's have a look.
I have serious memory issues and also oversight is very difficult for me. I see still 5 degrees, which is as if I'm looking through a straw. And also, I can see your face, but I can't recognize it. Because face recognition is another function of your brain that in my case is damaged. And even my own wife, I wouldn't recognize her. I had a great life. I ran a marketing agency. I had a nice family with children, 3 beautiful daughters. I had an event that I called Marketing in One Day, and I sold 100 tickets for that event, and I asked 500 euros for 1 ticket. So I had 50,000 euros revenue. I was really pleased with how that went, and I was planning to grow that business. I started to have these headaches and they became worse and worse. At some point I parked my car and called my wife saying like, hey, I don't know where I am, I don't know how I got here, and I was completely confused and in panic. And they brought me to the hospital and then they diagnosed it as hyperventilation. I went to the general practitioner and he was like, yeah, you're probably too busy, so take it easy. So he didn't really take it seriously. Then I came home, I went to bed and my wife took care of the kids and I was turning into this coma, and that's how Stephanie found me. They took me to the hospital and then they took a CT scan and then they saw this tumor in my brain. I woke up in a hospital and I was completely disoriented at first. I didn't know that I was married, for instance. I didn't know I had children. Everything was gone. I remember actually having a conversation with the doctor, the rehabilitation doctor who came to visit me. And I asked him like, hey, when will I see again? She said like, well, I wouldn't count on it. And that sort of struck as a lightning, you know. I totally didn't expect that I would be blind for the rest of my life. Then I fell into a huge depression. And all I could think about was my life is over, you know, and I just wanted to die. I didn't want to live anymore. And I started to make plans to commit suicide. I had it completely worked out at some point. I even made videos on my phone where I said goodbye to my wife and to my children. And I was just waiting for a good moment that I would be alone and that my wife would be away for a couple of days. You know, I realized that at some point, no one wants to die. people just want the pain to stop. And that's where the concept of resilience just grabbed me. I was like, if I can be able to deal with this, I can find meaning again in my life.
Wow. Jurjen's story really is a punch in the stomach, isn't it? But it's also a beautiful example of the difference a good purpose can make for our lives. Not only did he discover himself as an artist, these days he's back on the stage as a motivational speaker, sharing his wisdom on dealing with setback.
I needed to get away from the why question because I was completely stuck in that question. Why is this happening to me? Where's God? Why isn't he doing anything? The question wasn't helpful. I discovered that what now was a way more constructive question, and it helped me to focus on what was in front of me. Okay, this is happening to me. What now? What is my response? Then I started to focus on, for instance, what am I grateful for? And that was something that I intentionally did for a long time. I just wrote down the stuff I was grateful for. I felt worthless at the beginning, I was like, my life's over. I don't have anything to give anymore to this world. And I'm only dependent on help from others, and I'm just worthless. I realized that I'm intrinsically valuable and that I matter, that my life matters. It's also something where my faith kicks in because I believe that God loves me. I believe it saved my life that I have a healthy self-image. I bring in my motivational talks my counterpoint, which is it so easy? And is my life now on track? And did I learn everything? Well, no, of course not. My recovery, it's been an enormous road of thousands of small steps. But those small steps, they add up. And I realized that if I focus on the small steps, then at the end, I will see the big difference. But it's day-to-day steps that count, and it's day-to-day choices that matter. If I look back now, over 5 years, it's been 5 years now that it happened, and I made huge progress, which all exists of small steps. That was sort of my lesson of hope, actually, that if you focus on the small steps, you will see progress, but it's very small. And you need to appreciate that.
Interestingly enough, we stumble on intriguing similarities when we delve into the stories of people that recover from setback and hardship. Self-leadership, I guess, is the word that best describes what they're doing. Agreed? A dirty word? Has the smell of management books all over it. But we can derive a few tactics to turn to under extreme circumstances. Here's 3 tips for you. The apartheid regime was an expert in psychological techniques to break people. But ultimately, Mandela does not give up his beliefs. He is aware of his purpose. And that brings us to tip number 1. Meditate and reflect on your beliefs and principles. That's what helped Mandela keep his sanity, maintain his focus, his sense of purpose and commitment. For Jurjen, it means focusing on what you can do, and at some point, new purpose arose from it. It's important for you and me to actively engage in finding our personal purpose in life. You will need that purpose when life throws you lemons, or worse. Next up, meaningful relationships. They're like oxygen for the soul. Mandela's mental resilience was not always consistent. There were times when he struggled with depression. In those circumstances, Mandela turned to his fellow prisoners for support. They became a close-knit community, helping one another through difficult times, invigorating each other's morale. Thirdly, practice hope. For Jurjen, that is focusing on the small things, training his gratitude muscle, on everything that brings joy. on all the progress that you make, no matter how little it may seem. For Mandela in his cell, it would simply mean stand up. Every time life beat him down, all those 27 times, 365 days, he would choose to stand up, even when all hope seemed gone. He would take it as an opportunity to train himself to simply not accept that the circumstances would make him bitter. Every day he would convince himself that there is hope. And step by step, hope became his mindset. And that is how you fall well. If you enjoyed this video and you're ready to dive deeper, we have a free ebook available on our landing page that I believe you will truly enjoy. And if you're interested in exploring more about purpose, meaningful relationships, and practicing hope through business, please consider watching the other episodes from Surpassing Success. We warmly invite you to visit our landing page or check out our YouTube channel. We'd love to see you there.